Hello, this is Linda Binns of Harmony Inside and Out, and I'm here talking to you about how to effectively use Feng Shui to help you with all aspects of your life. And I'm doing an Introduction to Feng Shui series. This is part one. And in this series, I'm going to be talking pretty briefly about the history of Feng Shui, just so you have an understanding of where it comes from. And I'm going to cover in quite a bit of detail the principles of Feng Shui, how and why it works. I think it's important to be able to understand that to most effectively use it. And I'm also going to talk a lot about how exactly it applies today, because it really can help all areas of your life become more balanced. It can help you improve career, it can help you improve all your relationships, personal relationships, work relationships. Can improve your health and prosperity, really just about everything. So let's look first of all very briefly at some of the history of Feng Shui. I like to talk about how it's pronounced, and that's because although it doesn't look like Feng Shui, that's how it's pronounced. People still come up to me and say, tell me about Feng Shui, and I know that's what it looks like, but it's actually Feng Shui. It's known as the Chinese art of placement, and that's because, first of all, it does come from China. That's where it originates from. But also, it's a lot to do with the way things are placed and where you put things in your environment. That's not all it's about, but that is a big part of it, which you'll see as we go through. It's more than 3,000 years old. They actually estimate it's more like 5,000 years old. But they only started keeping records, written records, about 3,000 years ago to do with this. Before that, it was very, very secret. So they do estimate that it's been in use for more like 5,000 years. And although it is Chinese, it actually, the more you learn about Feng Shui, the more you'll find that it has links to many other cultures. Some other cultures have their own forms of Feng Shui, such as India has a method called Vastu Shastra, which is its own method of Feng Shui. And if you look at Japanese culture, Native American culture, they all have aspects that are very, very similar to Feng Shui. The core principles are really the same. So Feng Shui is really a lot to do with balance. It's about balance between extremes. As human beings, we really don't like any extremes. You don't want to be too hot, for example, and you don't want to be too cold either. So we're always striving for that kind of balance. So Feng Shui really helps us work to achieve that. Literally translated, it means wind and water. And Chinese characters tend to have more than one specific meaning. So it means wind and water, but it also means to harmonize, to bring things into balance and to organize things into their natural pattern. So again, you see that it's all about that balance. The very first Feng Shui practitioners were actually asked to find the best places to bury people. To locate the places where they would put the graves of people's ancestors and rulers. And that's because the Chinese believe that by burying their leaders and their family members in the most auspicious place possible, it would ensure good fortune for everybody left behind. It was a way of honoring the dead. Went on from there really to them being asked to find the best locations to build homes, businesses and communities. But in building these structures on the land to ensure that the energy of the land still continued to affect people in a positive way. If you think about how we build homes or businesses or structures today, typically in the West, typically what we do is we'll find a piece of land, we bulldoze the land, so we clear it of everything that's there, and then we put up our structures. So there's really no continuing connection to the land. We sort of destroy it before we put our own structures on it. So really, Feng Shui is about creating that balance and that harmony between us and between our environment. And it's about us recognizing that our environment is very important. It has an effect on us. So we want to be able to make it work for us rather than against us. And Feng Shui helps us to do that. When we do that, we really start to become balanced with everything around us. Life just seems to flow much more smoothly. So looking at the principles, first of all, we're dealing with Qi, which is energy. It's the life force energy. You may be familiar with Tai Chi, and in Tai Chi you're working at balancing the body's energy, and in Feng Shui we're working at balancing the Qi or the life force energy that's in your environment, in your home or your work environment, because that has a direct impact on your own personal energy. Think of the flow of that Qi in relation to wind and water. Feng Shui means wind and water, so energy can really go rushing through an area kind of like a raging river, or it can become stuck and stagnant like a stagnant pond, or it can trickle and meander. And you think of the movement of that energy and the flow and the kinds of things that affect it. So we look at things such as the shapes, angled lines, for example, very sharp corners are going to create a more chaotic sort of energy. Curves and rounded shapes help energy to flow that much more smoothly. Other things that affect the energy flow are things like color and shape, the placement of the things that we have, the meaning of the things that we have. Some examples would be, a staircase. A staircase is a channel for energy to flow very, very quickly. If you have a room that's cluttered, then that's going to create a very stagnant energy. Energy will not be able to flow. So those are the kinds of things and ways that things affect the energy. Also, we look at past energy. Who was there before, or what was there before? If you're buying a house, do you know anything about the people who were there before or why they're moving? If you're building a house, do you know what the purpose of the land was before? What has it been used for in the past? And so we incorporate all of these things, and you'll be learning some of all of these things as we go through. I really believe that we choose our homes for a reason, and as you understand a little bit more about Feng Shui as we go through this series of videos, you'll see that our homes create challenges, can create challenges for us in different areas of our life. And I think that we choose our homes very often subconsciously for that reason, because they help us work through our life challenges, which is as it should be. So this is a very, very brief outline of the history and an overview of some of the principles. In the next video, we're going to be looking at the 3 core principles for Feng Shui that will really help you to understand how and why it works. So I look forward to seeing you on the next video.